On Monday morning, another man was sitting in my chair. Andrew Pierce had done everything right. That was the problem. The coffee on Vivian Hale's desk was exactly the way she liked it. Double espresso, a splash of oat milk, no sugar. Her 9 o'clock finance meeting had already been moved to 9:30 because her father had requested a private call. The overnight market report had been summarized into 12 lines. The Tokyo flight had been confirmed. The board packets were waiting. Nothing was missing. Nothing was late. Nothing had gone wrong. I knew, because I had trained him for 6 weeks. Then I quit. I stood near the executive elevator with my old access badge in one hand, watching Andrew arrange the final briefing documents on the desk that had been mine for 7 years. He noticed me through the glass wall. "You actually came back, only to return this." I lifted the badge. Andrew looked at it. "You could have mailed it. I wanted to make sure you survived your first hour." "She's not here yet." I checked my watch. 8:14. It's 8:12. She had dinner with her father last night. Andrew frowned. "So, she always sits in the car for 4 minutes. After dinner with him." "Why?" "Because she needs 4 minutes. Before she becomes CEO again." Andrew stared at me. "You didn't put that in the transition file." "No, why not?" "Because it isn't part of your job." The private elevator opened. 8:14. Vivian Hail stepped out. 32 years old. CEO of Hail Industries. $38 billion in market value. 70,000 employees across 14 countries. And the only woman I had ever loved enough to leave. She wore a charcoal gray suit with a silk ivory blouse underneath. Her dark hair was pulled into the severe knot she wore whenever she expected resistance. Her eyes went first to Andrew, then to the chair, then to me. She stopped, only for a second. But after 7 years, I knew every second. Andrew stood. "Good morning, Ms. Hale." Vivian looked at him. "Where is Ethan?" Andrew glanced at me. I was 12 feet away. Mr. Cole's resignation became effective Friday. "I know." Her voice was flat. Too flat. Andrew picked up the tablet. "Your first briefing is ready." The Frankfurt team stop. He stopped. Vivian looked at the coffee, then the tablet. Then, "Andrew, who told you to come in here?" "Executive operations." Her gaze sharpened. "Why?" Andrew hesitated. "Because I'm your new chief of staff." Silence. I watched Vivian's right thumb press against her index finger. Anger. Then both hands became completely still. Fear. She looked at me. "You trained him." "Yes. To replace you. That was the assignment. I told you to create coverage. You told me no one should be indispensable." Her face changed. Andrew looked like a man who suddenly regretted accepting a $400,000 salary. Vivian turned toward him. "Leave." Andrew blinked. "Ms. Hale." "Leave the office." He looked at me. I gave him the smallest nod. He picked up his tablet. Vivian's voice stopped him. "Not the floor." Andrew paused. "Just my office." "Understood." He stepped outside and closed the glass door. Vivian turned back to me. "What are you doing here?" "Returning my badge." "You could have mailed it." Andrew said the same thing. "I'm not interested in what." Andrew said, "That's unfortunate. You hired him. You hired him. You approved him." She took one step closer. "I asked for you." The words landed harder than they should have. I looked at her. "What?" "When I arrived this morning, I asked for you. And Andrew came." "Yes. He has my old job." "I know. Then eventually you'll ask for him." Something flashed in her eyes. "No," I almost smiled. "You will." "No, give it time." "Stop doing that." "Doing what?" "Talking as if this is normal." I looked toward the glass wall. Andrew is already reorganizing the morning schedule. Professional. Calm. Competent. It is normal. Vivian stared at me. "You left." "Yes." "That is not normal. It is for former employees." "You are not." She stopped. I waited. "Not what?" "Not an employee? Not former? Not replaceable?" For 7 years, Vivian Hale had been able to answer almost any question in a room full of lawyers, bankers, and hostile shareholders. But whenever the question became us, words failed her. I placed the access badge on her desk. "That's why I'm here." Her eyes dropped to it, then returned to me. "Take it." "No, you still have 2 consulting authorizations attached to your name. Security can revoke them." "Take the badge." "Vivian." "Ethan." For years, that tone had meant I would eventually give in. I didn't. No, her jaw tightened. What do you want? Today? Yes. Breakfast. She stared. I smiled faintly. I skipped it. That is unhealthy. Probably. You always eat at your desk. I used to. Her expression shifted again. Used to. I turned toward the door. Ethan. I stopped. Come back at noon. I looked at her. That sounded like an order. Her mouth tightened. We had said those words to each other for years. Usually as a joke. Not anymore. She tried again. Will you come back at noon? No, pain flickered across her face. Fast. But I saw it. Why? Because I have plans. With whom? I smiled. You don't manage my calendar anymore. Then I opened the door. Andrew looked up. I walked toward the elevators. Behind me, Vivian said his name. Andrew. He straightened. Yes. Ms. Hale. A pause. Come back in. He picked up his tablet. The elevator doors opened. Before I stepped inside, I looked back one last time. Andrew entered our office. My office was empty. My chair was no longer mine. Everything was exactly as I had planned. It still hurt. The doors closed. 6 weeks earlier, Vivian Hail had asked me to make myself replaceable. I had simply taken her seriously. The sentence came from her father. Vivian only repeated it. That distinction mattered. Thomas Hale had spent 30 years building Hale Industries before handing control to his daughter. He believed in systems, succession plans, risk mitigation. Nothing terrified him more than dependence, especially emotional dependence. He and Vivian had dinner every second Thursday. I never attended. I always knew how it went. Good dinners ended at 8:45. Bad dinners ended before 8:15. Very bad dinners ended after 9, because neither of them knew how to leave an argument unfinished. That Thursday, Vivian returned at 9:26. Very bad. She walked past my desk without speaking. Normally, she handed me her coat automatically. That night, she kept it on. I followed her into the office. You have Singapore at 10. Cancel it. You move them twice. Then, they understand disappointment. You sound pleasant. I am not. I closed the door. What did your father say? Nothing important. That means something important. Vivian removed her coat and threw it across the back of a chair. I picked it up. Of course I did. For 7 years, I had picked up everything she dropped. Objects, schedules, problems, silences. She watched me hang the coat, then said, "My father thinks this structure is unhealthy." What structure? She looked at me. You. I laughed. I feel valued. He believes too much information sits with one person. That's fair. You agree? Operationally? Yes. Her eyes narrowed. She had expected resistance. I have your personal calendar, medical contacts, security clearances, family trust numbers, house key, travel authentication, board access, and emergency authority. That sounds worse. When you list it, it is worse. When I list it, she walked toward the windows. New York stretched beneath us. For years, I had watched her stand there. After difficult conversations, it was where she went, when she wanted to look powerful without being seen. My father says I've allowed the company to become dependent on you. The company? Vivian remained silent. I smiled faintly. That wasn't his exact wording. Her shoulders stiffened. No, what did he say? He said I had. There it was. I didn't speak. She turned. I disagree. Do you? Yes. Then take a month without calling me. That is childish. 2 weeks. No, 1. Ethan. I smiled. Point made. Her expression cooled. I'm not dependent on you. Of course not. You dislike your tone. I know. Vivian went back to her desk. He wants more separation between executive operations and my personal affairs. That's reasonable. You are being unusually cooperative. I'm tired. That answer surprised her. She studied me. When did you last take a full week off? 4 years ago. You took a vacation last year. You called me 6 times. There was a regulatory issue. You misplaced a classified briefing. It was not misplaced. It was in your suitcase. I did not know that. I did. Her mouth almost curved. Almost. Then disappeared again. I want you to recruit someone. I became still. For what? Senior Executive Operations. We already have 2 directors. Someone. who reports directly beneath you. How much beneath? Enough to cover your responsibilities. I looked at her. All of them. Eventually, the word stayed in the room. Eventually, she continued, you should not be the only person who knows how this office functions. And your private schedule, some of it. Your health protocols? If necessary. Your apartment? No, that answer came fast. I noticed. What if you become ill? The doctor has access. Your panic medication? Her expression hardened. That is not relevant. It becomes relevant. While I'm not here. Her eyes sharpened. You will be here. I stared at her. The certainty in her voice was almost beautiful. Almost cruel. How sure are you? She seemed confused by the question. You have worked beside me for 7 years. That wasn't the question. You have equity options vesting next year. Also not the question. Ethan, I leaned back. Never mind. Vivian opened a file. Find someone excellent. Better than me? There is no need for ego. That wasn't ego. Then what? Curiosity. She looked up. How good should my replacement be? Her face tightened. I did not say replacement. You said eventually. I said coverage. Coverage for everything I do. Yes. That's replacement. No. Then what happens if I leave? Silence. For the first time that evening, something uncomfortable entered her face. She looked back at the file. The system should continue. There it was. The sensible answer. The correct answer. The one I had spent 7 years making sure she would always have. No single employee should be indispensable, she said. I watched her for several seconds. She wasn't trying to hurt me. That almost made it worse. All right. Vivian looked up. That was easy. I'll find someone. Good. I stood. Ethan. Yes. I mean it. What? You need a life outside this office. I smiled. What if I already have one? Her expression softened in a way I hated. You don't. She was right. I went home that night and stared at an apartment I barely lived in. My refrigerator held 3 bottles of water, 2 beers, a jar of mustard. The dining table was covered with old Hale reports. My suitcase sat open because I had returned from London 2 days earlier and would leave for Seattle in 4. My brother, Daniel, had sent me a photograph that morning. His 7-year-old daughter Sophie on stage at a school science fair. She held a cardboard volcano. The message beneath it read, she asked if Uncle Ethan lives on airplanes. I had laughed when I first saw it. That night, I didn't. I opened my calendar. The next free weekend was 7 weeks away. Not because Vivian had ordered it, because I had built my life that way. Every time she needed someone, I came. Every time a family dinner conflicted with a board crisis, I chose the board crisis. Every time a woman told me she wanted more than whatever scraps of time remained. After Vivian, I told myself she didn't understand my career. 3 relationships ended that way. I had blamed the job. Maybe the job wasn't the problem. Maybe I was. At midnight, I opened a blank document. Resignation. I stared at the word for 10 minutes. Then I closed the laptop. Not yet. First, I would do exactly what Vivian asked. I would make myself replaceable. Then I would find out who I was when no one needed me. I interviewed 23 people. Most failed before they reached the second question. One candidate called Vivian difficult. Rejected. Another said he admired her management philosophy. Definitely rejected. One asked whether the rumored 70-hour work weeks were exaggerated. I told him yes. They were worse. He withdrew. Andrew Pierce was candidate 19. 32. Former strategy director. Before that, executive operations for a private equity firm. Sharp memory. No visible fear response. Married. 1 son. Important. People with lives outside work sometimes understood boundaries better. I sat across from him in a conference room. What would you do if Ms. Hale told you to cancel an investor meeting? Because she was angry. Andrew thought. Ask why she's angry. Wrong. He smiled slightly. Why? Because she'll lie. That seems hostile. It's experience. Then I asked what happened immediately, before she got angry. Better. And the actual answer? Move the meeting 20 minutes. Without permission? Yes. What if she doesn't want it? By minute 16, she will. And if she doesn't, apologize. Will she fire me? Possibly. Andrew smiled. I like this job. I hired him. Vivian met him the next morning. She asked 6 questions. He answered all 6 correctly. Then she looked at his shoes. Andrew noticed. I noticed him noticing. After he left, she said, "He'll do." That's enthusiastic. He seems competent. High praise. You are annoying. I've heard. When? Andrew. And I stepped into the elevator. He looked down at his shoes. What was that? What? She stared at my shoes. She notices details. What do my shoes tell her? That you polish them yourself. His head snapped toward me. Ow! New laces. Old sole. You're both disturbing. You'll adjust. Training began. Andrew learned fast. Faster than I wanted. Week 1, he handled internal scheduling. Week 2, executive briefing. Week 3, travel. Week 4, most of the board coordination. Nothing failed. Vivian's company did not collapse. The sky did not fall. She even complimented him once. Efficient, Andrew told me. Afterward, like someone had received a medal. The professional part was easy. The rest wasn't. One night, we sat in the executive kitchen reviewing the contingency file. Andrew frowned at a section. Migraines. Yes. Triggers. Dehydration. Caffeine. Her father. That last one isn't medical. No, what do I do? Cancel anything non-essential. Medication. Listed. Dr. Mercer. Number is there. He kept reading. Insomnia. I didn't answer. Andrew looked up. What? Nothing. The file says recurrent stress-related insomnia. Yes. What do I do? Nothing. He stared. You do something. No, Ethan. I smiled. You're learning. What do you do? I closed the file. That is not part of your job. Then why was it part of yours? Silence. Andrew waited. He was too good at waiting. Finally, sometimes she calls. At night. Yes. For work. Sometimes. And when it isn't. I look toward Vivian's dark office. I go over. To her apartment. Yes. And you seat. Andrew blinked. You sit. Yes. For how long? Until she sleeps. He leaned back. That definitely isn't my job. No. Do you love her? I looked at him. He immediately raised one hand. Forget I asked. Yes. His face changed. You do? Yes. Does she know? I don't think she knows anything involving that word. Does she feel something? I laughed quietly. She feels plenty. That wasn't my question. No. I looked down at the contingency file. She depends on me. Same thing. No, then why stay 7 years? That was the question I had stopped asking myself. Because for a long time, I want to believe it was. Andrew nodded slowly. And now I'm training you. His eyes sharpened. You're actually leaving. Yes. When? 3 weeks. Does she know? No, he exhaled. You're training me to replace you without telling her. She asked. She thinks I'm support. I know. This is going to be ugly. Probably. Andrew looked genuinely uncomfortable. I don't want your job. You already accepted it. I accepted a deputy role. You're better than the title. That doesn't make me you. I smiled faintly. That's the point. Some things belonged in a transition file. Passport numbers, hotel preferences, medication lists, flight accounts, board members, security protocols. Some things didn't. Vivian hated silence. After arguments, she needed sound, television, jazz, anything. If a room became too quiet, after a fight with her father, she would start thinking. Thinking became remembering. Remembering became insomnia. You couldn't put that into an HR document. Vivian refused connecting hotel rooms. Not because she wanted privacy. Because, when she was 17, her mother walked through one without knocking and found Vivian crying. After a panic attack, her mother told her, "Hales do not fall apart," where staff can see. 20 years later, she still checked doors twice. You couldn't put that in a file either. Andrew learned the official version. He learned it well. Vivian noticed. One Friday, she had a fever. Low. Nothing dangerous. Still, she refused to go home. I stood in her office. You're leaving? No. Temperature is 101. I have a board call. Andrew can take the first section. No, he knows it. I said no. That isn't an argument. It is from me. Andrew stood near the door, pretending to read. I looked at him. Reschedule the board call. Vivian's eyes flashed. Do not. Andrew froze. I said, do it. He looked between us. Then carefully, Ms. Hale, I can move it to Monday. No, yes. I said. Vivian glared. Andrew swallowed, then opened his tablet. Monday at 9? I nodded. Vivian stood. You are teaching him insubordination. I'm teaching him judgment. I did not hire him to judge me. You hired me for that. Her eyes shifted. That was different. We all knew it. An hour later, I drove her home. Andrew came with us. Vivian looked at him when he stepped into the elevator. Why is he here? Training. I'm sick. Exactly. I don't want training. Andrew looked at me. I can go. No, Vivian said simultaneously. Yes. Silence. The elevator doors opened. I stepped out. So did we. Andrew followed. Vivian did not. I turned. She stood inside the elevator. Pale. Angry. Beautiful. Vivian, I don't want him in my apartment. He needs to understand emergency procedures. No, why? Because. That's not a reason. It is my home. And her mouth tightened. Andrew quietly moved 3 steps backward. Smart man. I asked again. Why can I be there? Vivian went completely still. You have always been there. The words came softly. Not CEO. Not command. Truth. I looked at her. That is not going to be true forever. Something like fear moved across her face. Then the doors began to close. She caught them with one hand. Come. Andrew looked at me. I nodded. We entered. At the penthouse. I showed him where the medical folder was. Emergency medication. Doctor contacts. Building physician. Backup power. Basic things. Vivian sat on the sofa under a blanket, looking murderous. Andrew made tea. Chamomile. No honey. Correct. He placed it in front of her. She stared at it. Then at him. Then at me. Stay. Andrew stopped. So did I. Vivian seemed to realize how it sounded. Until the doctor comes. I sat. Andrew didn't. He understood. I'll wait outside. Vivian didn't argue. After the doctor arrived, Andrew and I left together. In the elevator. He said, I can replace your calendar. Yes. Meetings. Yes. Travel. Yes. Board work. Yes. He looked at me. But whatever that was, no good. I raised an eyebrow. Good. I have a wife. I laughed. Smart. Andrew became serious. She doesn't hate me. No, she hates something. Yes. What? I watched the numbers drop. That you prove the job can continue without me. Andrew nodded. And does that make leaving easier? No, the doors opened. But it makes it necessary. Vivian found my empty shelves before she found the letter. For weeks into Andrew's training, I was packing the last of my books. She entered without knocking. Stopped. Looked at the shelves. Then at the box on my desk. Where are your things? Home. Why? Because. They belong there. Her face changed. The photograph of my parents was gone. The brass coin from my grandfather. My fountain pen. Everything personal. What are you doing? Packing. For what? I looked at her. She already knew. Some part of her did. I opened the drawer. Pulled out the resignation letter. Vivian stared at the envelope. No, I almost smiled. You haven't read it. I know what it is. Then why did you ask? I did not. I placed it on the desk. My last day is 2 weeks from Friday. No, Vivian, I did not approve this. You don't approve resignations. I am CEO. That does not make employment involuntary. Her breathing changed. What company? None. Who made you an offer? No one. Then what are you doing? I'm starting my own firm. She stared. What kind? Crisis strategy. How long have you been planning this? A while. How long? Before. Andrew. Her face went pale. You hired him. Because you were already leaving. I hired him. Because you asked me to make sure you could function if I did. That is not the same thing. It is now. She walked closer. I said no one should be indispensable. Yes. I did not tell you to disappear. I'm not disappearing. You are leaving Hale. Yes. You are leaving me. The words escaped. Before she could stop them. Silence. Vivian's face changed. Mine probably did too. I asked carefully, am I? She looked away. There was again. The moment. Where one honest answer might have changed everything. But Vivian had spent 32 years surviving by making feelings private. Silence won. I smiled sadly. That's why. She turned back. What does that mean? It means you don't know. Know what? What I am to you. You are my chief of staff. That's a job. My closest advisor. Another job. My most trusted person. My chest tightened. That's closer. Pain entered her face. Ethan. I waited. Nothing. I nodded. Vivian's fear turned into strategy. Take a leave. No, 3 months. No, 6. No, I'll cut your travel. No, you can choose your own hours. No, equity. No, a board seat. No, her control cracked. What do you want? I looked at her. Nothing you can put in an offer letter. Her eyes shone. That is not an answer. It is. Name something. You never had to ask me to stay. Silence. For 7 years. You called, and I came. You chose that. Yes. I never forced you. No. Then why are you angry with me? I'm not. That stopped her. I'm angry with myself. Vivian said nothing. I kept believing that if you needed me enough, eventually I would become something other than the man who solved things for you. Her face went still. That is not fair. No, I did not ask you to feel that. I know. I never promised I know. Then why? Because I stayed anyway. I laughed once. Quietly. That is why I have to leave. Vivian's hands became completely still. Fear. She stepped closer. Don't. One word. My heart almost betrayed me. She reached for my wrist. Her fingers closed around it. I looked down, then back at her. Ask. She frowned. What? Don't order me. I didn't. You did. Her grip loosened. I lowered my voice. Ask me. Vivian swallowed. For the first time in years. She looked unsure. Will you stay? My chest hurt. For the job. She froze. Silence stretched. I gently removed her hand. No. I put the resignation letter on her desk. Then left. Behind me. Ethan. I stopped. She looked at me. I don't want. Andrew. I almost smiled. He's good. I know. Then what's the problem? Vivian opened her mouth. No answer. I nodded. Figure that out. For the next 2 weeks. Vivian stopped needing me. At least publicly. She used Andrew for everything. Briefings. Travel. Board schedules. Meetings. She stopped handing me her coat. Stopped calling. After 9. Stopped appearing beside my desk without a reason. Professional distance. Exactly what her father wanted. I hated it. That taught me something unpleasant. Part of me had expected her to panic. To prove I mattered. Instead, she adapted. Andrew adapted too. Quickly. One afternoon, he walked into my office. She complimented me. I looked up. Are you ill? She said, good work. Frame the moment. I already told my wife. Did she believe you? No, I laughed. Andrew sat. Then his expression changed. She isn't sleeping. How do you know? She answers emails at 3. She always does that sometimes. She made 7 typos this week. I stopped. Vivian didn't make typos. Ever. 7. Yes. Bad. What do I do? Nothing. Andrew frowned. You would do something? Yes. Then why can't I? Because you are not me. That is a terrible training principle. It is a boundary. He studied me. Does she know that? No, that seems important. It is. 2 days later, Vivian brought me my coat. I had left it in the conference room. She entered, held it out. You forgot this. Thank you. I took it. Our fingers touched. Neither of us moved immediately. Then she let go. Andrew says you skip breakfast. I stared. Why are you discussing my breakfast? I asked. You asked. Andrew, would I eat? Yes. What did he say? That he has never seen you eat. Accurate. Why? I'm not hungry in the morning. You drink coffee? Yes. That is bad for your stomach. I smiled. You sound like me. I dislike that. I know. She stayed near the door. I waited. Finally. What happens Monday? Andrew comes in. And you? I don't. Where will you be? My office. Your company already has an office? Yes. Where? Chelsea. What building? I smiled. Vivian stopped herself. You're doing that thing. I said, what thing? Collecting information. Because uncertainty bothers you. I am asking. You are auditing. Her mouth tightened. What is the difference? Interest doesn't always require a plan. That sentence is inefficient. Exactly. She looked at me, then asked, are you afraid? That surprised me. Of leaving? Yes. I answered honestly. Very. Her expression softened. Then don't. I smiled. That isn't how fear works. Sometimes it is. You're afraid of flying. I still fly. She stopped. I raised an eyebrow. Exactly. She almost smiled. Then her expression became serious. I don't want you to go. My heartbeat changed. Why? Vivian looked at me. Nothing. She hated herself for it. I could see that. I stepped closer. You need to figure that out. And if I figure it out, after Friday, you'll know where to find me. That sounds cruel. No, I shook my head. It's the first fair thing either of us has done. My last day arrived quietly. No disaster. No company collapse. No dramatic resignation speech. That mattered. I didn't want revenge. I wanted a life. At 4:45, my Hail email stopped receiving messages. At 5, my phone went dark. At 5:11, security access disappeared. 7 years erased through software. Andrew stood beside my desk. You okay? Yes. Lie. Yes. He nodded. Better. I placed the company laptop into a box. Then my old badge. Then the final files. Andrew pointed toward my brass coin. You're taking that? Yes. What is it? My grandfather gave it to me. Why? He said every man should own one thing money can't replace. Andrew smiled. Appropriate. I put the coin in my pocket. At 5:20, I carried one box toward the elevator. Vivian's office door stayed closed. Part of me was relieved. Part of me hated her. The elevator opened. She was inside. Alone. I stopped. Vivian looked at the box. Then at me. I stepped inside. The doors closed. For several floors. Neither of us spoke. Then what happens Monday? I smiled faintly. You keep asking. Answer. Andrew comes in. And you? I don't. What time will you wake up? I turned. What? Monday. I don't know. You wake at 5:40. Because your first briefing begins at 7. You can still wake at 5:40. I can. Will you? Probably not. Her jaw tightened. 30 floors. 29. What will you do? Coffee. Then, maybe breakfast. You never eat breakfast. I might start. Then, I don't know. Vivian hated those words. 23. 22. What will you do at night? Whatever I want. With whom? I looked at her. That question is no longer yours. Pain moved through her face. I didn't mean I know. The elevator stopped at 15. Someone outside pressed the button. Vivian hit close. The doors shut. Before they opened fully. I laughed. You just abandoned someone on 15. They will survive. I taught you compassion. No, you didn't. We continued. 10. 9. Is there nothing I can say? I knew what she meant. Not if you're trying to keep your chief of staff. And if I'm not. My heartbeat changed. I looked at her. What are you trying to keep? Vivian's eyes shone. She opened her mouth. Closed it. I don't know how to answer. I know. I hate that you know. I know. The elevator reached the lobby. Doors opened. I stepped out. She followed. That surprised me. We crossed the marble floor. People stared. The CEO almost never walked employees to the exit. At the revolving doors. I stopped. You have a 6 o'clock call. I know. You're late. I know. Progress. Don't. I laughed softly, then held out my hand. Vivian looked at it. We had rarely shaken hands. After 7 years, the gesture felt absurdly formal. She placed her hand in mine. Her grip tightened. Goodbye, Vivian. No, I looked at her. Her voice lowered. Not goodbye. I said nothing, because that was not a promise she had the right to demand. Her fingers slowly released mine. I walked outside, for the first time in 7 years. No one from Hail Industries knew where I was going next, including her. Andrew called at 9:17 Monday morning. How bad? The company is fine. Good. I am not. I smiled. What happened? She came in at 8:14. Expected. She didn't speak to me for 11 minutes. Less expected. I gave the briefing. Problems? None. Coffee? Perfect. Schedule? Perfect. Then, Andrew lowered his voice. She asked, where you were. I closed my eyes. What did you say? That you resigned? And she said she knew. I laughed quietly. She liked saying that. Andrew continued. Then she told me to leave. What did you do? Left. Smart. 5 minutes later, she called me back. Normal. She asked me what you do. After work. I opened my eyes. What? I said I didn't know. And she looked offended. That sounds like her. She asked what you do on Sundays. I smiled. What did you tell her? That I don't know. Good. She asked what you eat for breakfast. I laughed. She is obsessed. Ethan. Yes. She knows your passport number. Company records. Blood type. Medical file. Favorite hotel in London. Work, but not breakfast. No. Andrew went quiet. Then, I think she just realized she knows the employee. My smile disappeared. And not the man. Yes. At Hale Tower. Andrew later told me how the evening went. At 6:30, he entered Vivian's office. Your car is ready. She looked up. Where's Ethan? Both of them froze. Then Vivian looked back down. Never mind. Andrew remained there. Did you ask for Mr. Cole? No, you did. I misspoke. Andrew should have left. He didn't. Do you want me to call him? Vivian stared at him. No, okay. He turned. Andrew. Yes. What did Ethan do? After 6:30, he frowned. Usually reviewed tomorrow. After, went home. What did he do at home? I don't know. Her expression changed. You don't know? No. What did he do on weekends? I don't know. Where does his brother live? I don't know. Does he still play piano? I didn't know he played. Vivian stopped. That one hurt. She dismissed him. That night, she opened our message thread. 7 years. Thousands of texts. Flight numbers. Meeting changes. Doctor reminders. Board notes. Food. Sleep. Emergency calls. Almost nothing else. She typed. Did you eat? Deleted. How was your day? Deleted. Andrew is doing well. Deleted. Finally. Are you happy? She stared at it. Then deleted that too. For the first time in 7 years. Vivian Hail did nothing. My new company had 3 rooms. 2 desks. 1 conference table. And a coffee machine that sounded like an aircraft engine. I loved it. Mercer Advisory was printed on the glass door. My middle name. Ethan Mercer Cole. Cole Advisory sounded like a law firm. Mercer sounded slightly pretentious. Perfect. My first client was a medical device company facing a recall. Second, a restaurant group whose CEO accidentally insulted Canada during a live stream. Third, a manufacturer with a supplier revolt. Small compared to Hale Industries. Mine. I woke at 7. Ate breakfast. Actual breakfast. I called my brother. Daniel answered, who died? No one. You're calling at 8 on a Tuesday. I have free time. Definitely someone died. I laughed. That's Saturday. I visited him. Sophie opened the door, wearing dinosaur pajamas. She stared at me. Uncle Ethan? Yes. You're real. I looked at Daniel. He shrugged. She had questions. Sophie grabbed my hand. Dad said you work for a scary lady. I used to. Did she fire you? No. Did you fire her? Daniel laughed. I smiled. Something like that. I spent the day helping Sophie build a model volcano. At 4, I realized something. Vivian did not know I liked building things. She knew I could fix a broken deal in 4 hours. She knew I could move a $100 million negotiation overnight. She didn't know I enjoyed sitting on the floor with cardboard and glue. That hurt. 3 weeks passed. Hale Industries did well. Andrew did well. Vivian did well. Professionally. No catastrophe forced her to call me. Good. I needed that. Then one Thursday afternoon, my receptionist leaned into the office. There's a woman here. That happens. She says she doesn't have an appointment. Name. The receptionist looked nervous. Vivian Hail. My hand stopped. Alone. Yes. No assistant. No security. Car outside. I stood. She can wait. My receptionist stared. You're making Vivian Hail wait? Yes. Is this a power thing? No, are you sure? No. I finished the email I was writing. 7 minutes. Then walked out. Vivian stood beside the window. Dark green coat. Hair loose. No tablet. No file. No reason. She looked at me. You cut your hair. I almost smiled. That's why you came? No, what happened? Nothing. Hail. Fine. Bored. Fine. Your father. Still alive. Andrew. Her mouth tightened. Excellent. I laughed. What? You sound annoyed. I am not. You are. I dislike how pleased he is with himself. That means he's settled. I know. Silence. Then why are you here? Vivian looked at me. I wanted to see you. No excuse. No business. Just the truth. My chest tightened. Come in. Vivian looked around my office. Small. Plain. Mine. Her eyes found the coffee machine. That is offensive. It was affordable. I could buy you. She stopped herself. I smiled. What? Nothing. You were about to replace my coffee machine. No, yes. Possibly. Growth. I hate that word. I know. She sat. I stayed standing. What do you need? Nothing. Vivian. I mean it. Then why are you here? She looked at me. Because I miss you. 7 years. I had imagined hearing those words in every possible way. None felt like this. Quiet. Unprotected. Real. I sat across from her. What do you miss? Her face changed. That sounds cruel. It isn't. I miss you. What part? Ethan. The part that knows what you need. Before you ask, she looked away. The part that fixes your schedule. No, the part that sits with you. When you can't sleep, silence. Maybe. The part that makes your life easier? Yes. I nodded. She looked hurt. That disappoints you. No, it does. It's honest. I don't know how to separate them. That answer mattered. More than I wanted it to. Vivian continued. I miss seeing your coat on the chair. I smiled faintly. My coat. Yes. I miss hearing you argue with legal. Reasonable. I miss you correcting my coffee. You drink too much. I miss you looking at me. Before difficult meetings. My chest tightened. And her voice lowered. I miss knowing that if I looked up, you would be there. Silence. That sounds like dependence. I know. Not love. I know. The answer surprised me. Vivian folded her hands. That is why I waited 3 weeks. What changed? I still miss you. That's the evidence. It is more evidence than I had. Before. I laughed. She almost smiled. Then, I realized I know everything about the version of you that belonged to my day. My chest tightened, but almost nothing about the part that did not. She looked at me. You call Daniel Moore now. How do you know? You mentioned him too. Andrew. I frowned. You asked. Andrew about me again. Yes. Vivian. I did not investigate. Define investigate. I asked 3 questions. That is investigating. Then very little investigation. I laughed. She continued. You have a niece. Yes. Sophie. Yes. She likes dinosaurs. I stared. Andrew didn't know that. No. Where did you learn it? I asked you. I thought back. She had. Once. In an old conversation. Years ago. She remembered. Vivian's eyes softened. I know less than I should. That's fixable. Ow. Ask. She looked almost offended by the simplicity. Ask what? Anything. She thought. Then, what is your favorite meal? I laughed. That's your first question? Yes. Burgers. No, what? You dislike greasy food. At work. She stopped. Exactly. At work. I smiled. Burgers. What kind? Bacon. That is unhealthy. You're ruining this. Her lips curved. For the next hour, Vivian asked me questions. Not strategic ones. Human ones. First job? Bookstore. Dream at 18? Architect. Favorite music? Old blues. Why did I stop playing piano? I didn't have a good answer. Why did I hate lilies? Grandfather's funeral. What was Sophie's favorite dinosaur? Triceratops. Vivian wrote nothing down. That mattered. At the door. She stopped. Can I come again? I smiled. You're asking. Yes. Then yes. Do I need an appointment? Yes. Her eyes narrowed. I smiled. She left. The next morning, my calendar showed Vivian Hail. Lunch. Personal. 60 minutes, I laughed for 5 minutes. Vivian learned slowly. Badly. Sometimes hilariously. At her second lunch, she asked, what do you do Sunday mornings? Sleep. Until 9. That is excessive. I'm no longer available at 5:40. I noticed. You called. No good. I considered it. Less good. At our third lunch, she brought a gift. A watch. Probably worth $60,000. I stared at the box. No. Her expression changed. You haven't opened it. I can see the logo. You dislike the brand? I dislike the price. It was not expensive. For you. Silence. I pushed it back. Vivian looked hurt. This is what I do. I know. I wanted to give you something. Then buy me a book. She stared. A book. Yes. That seems insufficient. Exactly. 3 days later, she arrived with a detective novel. Used. Not new. I looked at it. The cover was worn. Why used? You said your grandfather gave you second-hand books. My chest tightened. When did I tell you that? Last week. She remembered. I took the book. Thank you. Her shoulders relaxed. That was how it started. Not grand gestures. Questions. Memory. Permission. One evening, she asked to meet Daniel. You don't have to. I know. He dislikes you. Why? 7 missed Christmas dinners. Vivian became very still. I caused 7. 5. 5 is still unacceptable. I chose work. You chose me. Not always the same thing. She looked down. I'm sorry. I know. Daniel met her at a restaurant. He stared. So you're Vivian? Yes. You're shorter than expected. I closed my eyes. Vivian asked, how tall did you expect? Villain height. I laughed. Vivian did not. Sophie arrived later. She looked at Vivian. Your Uncle Ethan's boss. I was. What are you now? Everyone became quiet. Sophie ate a French fry. What? Vivian looked at me. I answered, dinner guest. Sophie frowned. That's boring. Thank you. Vivian almost smiled. Outside. Afterward. She said, she asked what I am. Yes. I didn't know. I noticed. What do you tell people? They were figuring it out. Vivian considered. I dislike undefined categories. I know. Can we define it? No, she looked at me. I smiled. Not yet. She hated that. But she stayed. 3 months. After I left, Hale Industries posted its strongest quarter in 2 years. Andrew sent me the earnings report. I replied, congratulations. He wrote, I personally generated all 38 billion. I answered, proud of you. Later that day, Vivian came to my office. She put the report on my desk. We beat projections. I saw. Andrew sent it to you. Yes. You speak to him. He's my friend. I see. I smiled. Jealous? No of. Andrew? No good. Vivian Saturday. He is better than you at several things. I stared. That is offensive. He writes shorter briefing notes. Leave. He understands the Hong Kong division better. I trained him. He dresses better. Get out. She smiled. Then the smile disappeared. That was when I understood. What? I don't need you at Hale Industries. Even though I wanted that outcome. It hurt. Vivian noticed. That hurt. A little. I'm sorry. No, I took a breath. It's good. She leaned forward. I thought if Andrew failed, I would have an excuse. To do what? Ask you back. But he didn't. No, he succeeded. Yes. So, her voice lowered. I still wanted you. Silence. I still wanted to call you. After difficult meetings, my heartbeat changed. I still wanted to tell you. When my father annoyed me. Silence. I still wanted to know whether you ate breakfast. I smiled. There it is again. Focus. I laughed. Vivian continued. When I realized the company did not need you, I was terrified. Why? Because then I had no professional excuse for missing you. That was the sentence. I stood, walked around the desk. Vivian stood too. We were close. Very close. I don't know whether this is love, she said. I nodded. Her face changed. You're not angry? No, I thought you would be. I would be angry if you lied. She swallowed. I know I want you. As what? Her eyes narrowed. Do not. I smiled. Do not what? Make this an examination. I'm not. You are. Then answer. Vivian took a breath. As Ethan. My smile disappeared. Not chief of staff. No, not crisis manager. No, not the person who fixes your life. Her eyes softened. No, just Ethan. Yes. I lifted my hand. Stopped. Before touching her face. May I? Vivian closed the distance herself. She kissed me. 7 years of restraint did not explode. It melted. Slowly. Her hands found my jacket. My fingers slid along her jaw. Her body trembled. When I pulled her closer, the kiss deepened. Then I stopped. Vivian opened her eyes. What? Tomorrow. What happens tomorrow? You decide whether you still want this. Her expression turned incredulous. That is absurd. It's healthy. I dislike healthy. I know. Her fingers tightened in my lapel. I want to kiss you now. I noticed. And tomorrow. Good. And the day. After. I smiled. Ask me tomorrow. She stared. You are impossible. I learned from you. She kissed me once more. Short. Deliberate. Then stepped away. Tomorrow. At 9:11 the next morning. Vivian called. My personal phone. Morning. Are you busy? I looked at the client sitting across from me. Yes. Silence. I smiled. That surprised you. A little. I can call later. You can. Another pause. Okay. Vivian. Yes. What did you want? Her voice softened. To hear you. My chest tightened. I'll call at noon. You will. Yes. Okay. I did. That became us. Not constant. Not easy. But ours. 2 weeks later. Andrew called. She asked for you. What happened? Bad meeting with her father. Work. Mostly. And she came out. Dismissed everyone. Then called me in. What did she say? Andrew lowered his voice. Send him in. I smiled faintly. You asked. Who? Obviously. And she stared at me like I'd failed kindergarten. I laughed. Then she said your name. Silence. Ethan. Something tightened in my chest. Andrew continued. I told her you don't work here. Good. She said. I know. Also normal. Are you coming? No. Andrew went quiet. Really? If she wants me, she can call. 5 minutes later. My phone rang. Vivian. I answered. Hi. Silence. Then, I had a difficult meeting. I heard. Andrew told you? Yes. I may fire him. You won't. I know. I waited. Will you come? There it was. Not come here. Not I need you. Will you come? Why? Because I want you. For work? No. Then yes. 40 minutes later. I enter Hale Tower. Visitor badge. That felt strange. Andrew met me upstairs. He looked at the badge. It suits you. Shut up. She's in conference for. Why not her office? She said it feels wrong. I found her alone. No laptop. No files. Nothing to fix. She saw me. Relief crossed her face so openly it almost stopped me. You came. You asked. Yes. What happened? My father wants to acquire North Meridian. That sounds like work. It is. Do you want a vice? No, I stopped. What do you want? Vivian looked at the chair beside her. Sit. That sounded please. I smiled. Then sat. Vivian sat beside me. Not across. Beside. For several minutes. She said nothing. Then her head rested against my shoulder. Old position. New meaning. I did not ask what happened. Did not solve the acquisition. Did not open her calendar. I simply stayed. After 5 minutes, she whispered, This is what I wanted. What? You. My chest tightened. Not an answer. I know. She closed her eyes. But I'm getting closer. 6 months. After I resigned, the Hale board tried to buy my company. They did not tell Vivian. That was their mistake. A director named Victor Marsh invited me to lunch. He slid a folder across the table. Generous. I didn't touch it. What is it? Acquisition proposal. For Mercer? Yes. Why? Hale wants strategic continuity. I laughed. Andrew is doing well. Excellent. Then why buy me? Victor smiled. You know why. Say it. Ms. Hale. I stopped smiling. He continued. She trusts you. That is not corporate value. Everything becomes value at sufficient scale. No, you haven't seen the number. I don't need to. Ethan. No, I pushed the folder back. He sighed. You built your career at Hale. And then I left. You could return as an independent subsidiary. No. What if Ms. Hale wants it? She doesn't know you're here. Victor went quiet. I stood. Tell the board Mercer is not for sale. That night, Vivian called. Her voice was glacial. Did Victor Marsh meet you today? Yes. Silence. What did he offer? To buy Mercer. Another pause. What did you say? No. Her exhale was almost relief. Then anger. I will kill him. That seems excessive. I specifically told the board not to approach you. My chest tightened. You knew. They suggested it. And I said no. Why? Silence. Then, because you built something that belongs to you. I stared at the wall. Vivian continued. I wanted to say yes. I almost smiled. I know. I thought if Hale bought Mercer, you would be close again. That would have been terrible. Yes. Painful. Yes. But you said no. Yes. I closed my eyes. That mattered more than flowers, more than rings, more than any expensive gift. You protected my choice. Vivian's voice softened. I'm trying. Good. Do not praise me. Never. Ethan, yes. I still hate that you left. I know. I'm beginning to understand why you had to. That was almost enough. Hale Industries held its annual leadership summit 9 months. After I resigned, Mercer Advisory attended as an external consultant to one of Hale's partners. Not Hale itself. That distinction mattered. I walked into Hale Tower wearing a visitor badge. Andrew met me upstairs. He had been promoted. Executive Director of Operations. He looked smug. You look expensive. You sound jealous. I dress better than you. I heard. Vivian told you. She did. Andrew laughed. He had made the job his own. His coffee mug on the desk. Photograph of his wife and son. His notebooks. His systems. The chair no longer looked like mine. Good. At 6, everyone moved toward the ballroom. I stayed behind for a client call. When I finished, Andrew was walking toward me. She sent me away. I smiled. That sounds familiar. She asked for you. Where? Her office. I thought she was at dinner. She came back. Why? Andrew shrugged. I asked, and she said, I asked for Ethan. I laughed quietly. Andrew pointed toward her door. Go. I found Vivian standing by the windows. Silver evening dress. Hair loose. No board papers. She turned. You came. You asked. Yes. What happened? Nothing. That is becoming your favorite emergency. I dislike the dinner. Andrew can handle it. I know. Hale can handle it. I know. Then why did you send him away? Her eyes met mine. Because I asked for you. I heard. And he came. He works here. I know. You never said my name. Her expression shifted. For 7 years. Get him. Call him. Where is he? Everyone knew. Ethan. Now things were different. Vivian stepped closer. I say it now. What? Your name. She touched my lapel. Ethan. My heartbeat changed. Again. Ethan. I smiled. You're being dramatic. You deserve it occasionally. She looked through the glass. Andrew sat at the desk that had once been mine. Working. Comfortable. Belonging there. He is very good, she said. I know. I trust him. Good. I do not want him to leave. Excellent. Then her eyes returned to me. And I do not want you back in that chair. That surprised me. Really? Yes. Why? Because if you sit there again, I will begin turning you into something useful. My chest tightened. I like you better when you are inconvenient. I laughed. That may be the most romantic thing you've ever said. It was intended to be. She took my hand. Come downstairs. As what? The question was playful. Not entirely. Vivian understood. This time, she answered immediately. As the man I love. Everything inside me stopped. No hesitation. No silence. No title. I looked at her. You know? Yes. Ow. She took one breath. Because Andrew can do your job. I smiled faintly. He can. The company can function without you. Yes. I can function without you. My chest tightened. That is important. Yes. She stepped closer. I simply do not want a life where I never see you. Silence. That is the difference I could not understand. Her eyes shone. I needed you. Before. I stayed still. Now I choose you. I touched her face. You took long enough. That sounded like criticism. It was. Vivian smiled. Then I kissed her. No crowd. No public spectacle. No desperate claim. Just two people in an office, where one of them no longer worked. When we separated, she whispered, Will you come to dinner with me? Yes. As my guest. Yes. As my boyfriend. I laughed. There it is. Her eyes narrowed. Answer. Yes. Relief moved across her face. I kissed her again. Then we went downstairs. Together. 1 year. After I resigned, Hale Industries hired Mercer Advisory. Not me. The firm. Competitive bid. Vivian hated that I insisted on the process. You are being ridiculous. You own Hale. Yes. You do not own Mercer. That sentence remains irritating. Good. We won anyway. Andrew recommended us. Not Vivian. That mattered. Our first strategy meeting took place on the 38th floor. My old floor. I sat halfway down the conference table. Exactly. where an outside consultant belonged. Andrew led operations. Vivian sat at the head. No one treated me like her employee. No one treated me like an extension of her. It felt strange. Then right after the meeting, Andrew remained. He looked toward his desk. You want to sit in it? No, liar. Maybe once. He grinned. Go. I walked outside. Sat in the chair. My old chair. It felt familiar. Wrong. Vivian appeared at the door. She stopped. You're in Andrew's chair. I looked up. Exactly. Her lips curved. How does it feel? Wrong. Good. That makes you happy? Yes. Andrew laughed and left for coffee. Vivian walked toward me. She touched the back of the chair. For months, I hated this. Because someone else sat here. Yes. And now, she looked at Andrew's mug, the photograph of his family, his handwriting, his world. Now it is his. I stood. Yes. Her eyes returned to me. And you are yours. Silence. I smiled. That took you a year. I am thorough, slow, careful, controlling. Occasionally, I laughed. She stepped closer. Do you know what frightened me most? What? That. Andrew was enough. My chest tightened. The company worked. Yes. The board adapted. Yes. Nothing collapsed. No, you survived. Yes. I survived. Yes. Her fingers found mine. And I still wanted you. I squeezed her hand. That was the point. I know. She leaned against me. I thought losing your work would prove I could live without you. And I can. I smiled. Good. Her eyes softened. I just don't want to. That was better. Much better. Epilogue irreplaceable 2 years later. Andrew Pierce became Executive Vice President of Operations. He blamed me. I told him I'd warned him. Mercer Advisory grew to 26 employees. Chicago office. Boston office. Then London. Vivian complained I traveled too much. I reminded her of 7 previous years. She denied all responsibility. We lived separately for the first year, then moved into a new apartment. Not her penthouse. Not mine. Ours. That part mattered more than I expected. One Sunday morning, I walked into the kitchen. Vivian sat at the table wearing one of my shirts. Her laptop was closed. Suspicious. What happened? Nothing. Why is your laptop closed? It is Sunday. I stared. She narrowed her eyes. I am capable of rest. Should I call someone? Ethan. I smiled, then noticed the object in her hand. My grandfather's brass coin. I stopped. Where did you get that? Your desk. You went through my desk? One drawer. Vivian, you leave things everywhere. That coin matters. I know. I looked at her. Why? She answered without hesitation. Your grandfather gave it to you when you were 12. My chest tightened. He told you a man should carry one thing that money cannot replace. I stared. You remembered. Yes. When did I tell you? 14 months ago. That long. Yes. She placed a coin in my palm. You kept it through university. Yes. Your first apartment. Yes. Every Hale office. Yes. And when you resigned, it was one of the first things you took. Because it was one of the few things in that room that had nothing to do with me. Silence. I closed my fingers around the coin. Vivian looked slightly nervous. Even now, Ethan, yes. Are you happy? The question still surprised me sometimes. Old Vivian would have checked the evidence. Salary, house, career, schedule, then decided for me. This Vivian asked. Yes. Her shoulders relaxed. Good. And you? She considered, then smiled. Yes. That sounded uncertain. I am reviewing the evidence. Of course. She stood, walked around the table, wrapped her arms around my neck. Ethan, yes. I have another question. Dangerous. Will you marry me? I froze. Vivian stared, then immediately became annoyed. You were supposed to answer. I laughed. You just proposed, while wearing my shirt in the kitchen. I considered dinner. Too predictable? Yes. Board meeting? Too many witnesses. Annual report? I almost included it. He left ha. Vivian's expression softened. No ring. I have one. Where? In the drawer. You planned this. Obviously. How long? 11 days. That's restrained. I am improving. I touched her face. Ask again. She inhaled. For all her money, power, control, She still looked afraid. Ethan Cole. Yes. Will you marry me? I smiled. Yes. Relief broke through her entire face. Then she kissed me. Long, warm, certain. When she pulled away, she rested her forehead against mine. You took too long. That sounded like criticism. It was. I laughed. She brought out the ring. Simple platinum. No Hale crest. No family stone. Nothing designed to announce status. Just something she had chosen for me. I looked at it, then at the brass coin still in my hand. 2 years earlier, Vivian had said, "No one should be indispensable." She had been right. My job had a replacement. My chair had a replacement. My title had a replacement. My schedule had a replacement. Even the man who knew how she took her coffee had a replacement. That was fine, because love had never been about becoming impossible to replace. It was about becoming free enough that staying meant something. Vivian slid the ring on my finger, then looked at me, still thinking. Yes. About. I put the brass coin back in her hand. You were right. Her eyebrows lifted. That is rare. Enjoy it. About what? No one should be indispensable. Vivian smiled. Slowly. Then she closed my fingers around the ring. No, her voice softened. Jobs should not be indispensable. I looked at her. She kissed me once. People can still be irreplaceable. And this time, I believed her.